All right. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to How to Drink Less Without the Inner Struggle. You know, I help a lot of women cut back on drinking. And one of the things that I notice a lot is this inner struggle. And so I really want to help you with this inner struggle that we find ourselves in. And if we minimize that, drinking less just becomes so much easier. All right, so this is a masterclass, and you are in the right place if you want to drink less and feel more powerful in your life. Now, when we drink less, I am not about drinking less to feel worse, right? And when you drink less and feel worse about your life or about yourself or anything, it's not going to be sustainable. Let's just be honest. Nobody signs up to feel worse, right? So drinking less, when you do that in a way that makes you feel powerful, I like to use the word epic. That's why I call my program EpicYOU. It's because when you feel really good in your life, you won't need to rely on alcohol. You will naturally want alcohol less because you know that overdoing it or doing too much of it doesn't make you feel good, right? So I find when people feel powerful, that's really when they want alcohol less and they are able to stay in control. And so I call that place a powerful place, or being an epic place. So tonight, what you will learn in this presentation is going to be how to get off that struggle bus, especially if you tried cutting back before, which I know so many of us have tried over and over and over again, right? And if we just find that we're still struggling, I want to talk to you about how to get off that struggle bus so that you can just drink less and it's just you. This is just what you do. This is just how you operate. And do that from a place with ease and enjoyment. Not with struggling, not with fighting, not with arm wrestling with yourself, right? Or arm wrestling with a glass of wine, right? It's not about increasing the struggle. It's actually relaxing and enjoying and releasing the struggle. Now, a lot of times I'll hear, oh, I have one person on my shoulder, like the angel, and then the devil on the other shoulder, say the angel saying you shouldn't drink tonight, the devil saying you should drink tonight, right? And so really to get rid of that double chatter going on, especially in our heads, right? That's usually a conversation that we hear in the back of our minds. So that banter, if we could just eliminate that and just drink less, it would be just so much easier. And then really how to step into your powerful self. Because when you are in this place, everything becomes so much easier. And so I want to talk to you about that. So to begin, I want to hear from you. I want to know, what is one of your biggest struggles with drinking less? Tell me, what is a struggle for you when you drink less? And you could throw that in the chat. Let me see, I'll put up the chat. All right, I am not seeing the chat. Hang on one second. There we are. All right, now I see the chat. Okay, great. So put in the chat or ask the question answers. Oh, no chat, I have it closed. Okay, thank you. So in the Q&A, tell me where you struggle. I want to hear what's your biggest struggle with drinking less. What to say to friends and family. Okay, I see off button. How to get the off button? How to stop yourself once you start? Is that what I'm getting at from that? Okay, yep, great. Okay. Oh, struggle with anxiety. Struggle with others pushing me to drink with them. Good. All right, yeah. Emotions, stress. Excellent. Yeah, so I really want you to know what the struggle is for you, right? And that's not to say it's just going to be one thing, because sometimes it can be multifactorial. But I will say that there generally is something that comes up over and over most of the times when you go to drink less. And so I love what you have written in is that struggle with others, right? Wanting for you to jump in or continue drinking with them, having pressure from friends. Yep, judgment, exactly. This is a big reason why people don't drink less, because they struggle in that area. So I want to talk to you specifically about those areas so that we can end the struggle. All right. So I'll tell you, in a nutshell, here's why you struggle. You struggle because first, you've been told how to drink less requires all of these things or some of these things. How many of you have heard that in order to drink less, you just need more willpower, right? Just more willpower will get it done, right? Or that you are not self-disciplined in that area. You just need more self-control and more discipline around your drinking. And that will help you drink less. Or you just need to put in more work. You just haven't tried it long enough, right? You need to keep working at it and it'll eventually work. Or how many of you have been told maybe you just need to stop hanging out with people who drink all the time? Maybe that's a message you get in certain circles, right? That you need to change your job if you work in the wine industry or the alcohol industry, or you're a bartender, right? You just need to change your environment. You just need to change your friends. Or if you struggle with drinking, what does most of society tell us? Doctors were trained to say, hey, mate, if you run into problems with alcohol, you just have to write it off for good. You just have to declare abstinence. And then in certain circles, right, you have to claim that you are powerless. You are powerless against alcohol. Now, I will tell you, none of that is true. That is the dogma out there. That's what we hear a lot, but I will show you where you really struggle. And it's not in these areas at all. So first, let me take a moment and introduce myself. I am Sherry Price. I am a former overdrinker myself, and now I moderate my drinking. I can drink and enjoy it and not overdo it. That's what I mean by moderating my drinking. I like to say I'm a woman who can take it or leave it with her drinking, and it feels amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, it feels amazing to be that way with alcohol, when prior to that, I couldn't. For almost a decade, I couldn't be that way. I always wanted it, and there was never enough. I always wanted more. So I'm the host of the Drink Less Lifestyle podcast. If this is a podcast that you would love to enjoy and learn, come join me. I'd love to have you. And what I am committed to doing is helping smart professional women break up with alcohol where they don't have to claim abstinence, right? They can define what their healthy relationship with alcohol looks like for their lifestyle. My previous career, I was a pharmacist. I'm a wife, a mom, a coffee lover, and I created the program called EpicYOU, which I will tell you more about. So a little bit about my story. You know, I consider myself a normal drinker, frat parties, engaged in alcohol in my 20s and college. And then in my 30s, seemed like my drinking tended to pick up, and I started doing it a lot more. So I was sucked into the mommy wine culture. I had more stress at work, and I would use wine as a way to relax at the end of the day. It was my stress reliever. It would help me with parenting because I'd have anger issues towards my daughter and wanted to control that. And just drinking just brought me down a notch from these high, intense emotions I would feel. And then I used it on date nights because after all, I deserved a reward, a treat, right? I wanted to celebrate. And so I started to notice that, wow, I'm drinking a lot, like every night. And so my typical consumption was about a bottle of wine a night for years, almost a decade. And for a long time, I felt that there was nothing wrong with that. It was fine. I was going to work, paying the bills, not doing anything crazy, right? But I started to notice, like in the morning, I didn't like myself. I didn't like how I felt. I didn't like that I overconsumed. I drank, seemed like a lot of alcohol for me. So my 6 a.m. self was like, I'm going to stop. I don't have desire for this. I know it's not, I know it's too much. I'm in the medical industry. I know this is not good for me. I'm just going to stop. But then my 6 p.m. self, right? When you come home from work and you have all the things going on and all the stress, just like, wait, I have so much desire for alcohol. Let me just have one glass. And that one glass became two, became three, became the whole bottle. And so I started to think, wow, why do I want alcohol all the time at night? I don't want it in the morning, but at night, it seems like the obvious choice. It's my drink of choice. It's what helps me get through life and the day and the night. And it started to consume all my mental energy because I wanted to cut back and everything I tried hadn't worked. So maybe you've tried a ton of things. This is just a partial list of all the things that I've tried. And when I talk to other people, they say, yeah, I tried that too. And a lot of that never worked for them, right? It would work short term, maybe for a couple of days, a week. Maybe they go on a cleanse or say, hey, dry January, I'm not going to do anything in January. But then come February, they're right back to the same amount of consumption. And so I tried all these things and I was like, gosh, I'm reading the internet. I'm a smart person. What gives? This is not working. Like, what gives, right? And so I also want you to hear this part of the story because I think this is important, because what we get portrayed in the movie screens and on the big screen is like, oh, you have to have this rock bottom moment, or you have to get a DUI, or you have to have these like health scares like LFTs, your liver function tests start going up, or, your doctor says, whoa, that's too much. You need to cut back, right? I never had any of those happen. And I also didn't have extreme motivation one day and say, yep, I'm going to turn my life around. Like those big ahas that we see on a movie screen didn't happen for me. And so I want you to know that if you're waiting around for those, they may never come. And that is not the only way to change habits. And that is not the only way to change your relationship with alcohol. And I will tell you, once I started a new path, I did lack confidence and I did lack faith. I lacked confidence in myself because I tried over and over and over again, so many different things, and it wasn't really sticking. And so, yeah, you begin to lose faith of like, is anything going to work for me? Right? And all I wanted to do was become that normal drinker again, that woman who can take it or leave it. And so my main big driver was I wanted to do better. That's it. I know it sounds so simple. And I know it sounds so like not glamorized, but really for me, I knew better, but I wanted to do better. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to feel better about myself. I wanted to get to a place where alcohol didn't feel like it controlled me. I wanted to get to a place where I can imbibe joyfully without regret, without forgetting conversations, without self-loathing the next day. I just wanted to do better. And so if you just want to do better, let that drive you. That is enough. Some people think they need more. And I want to tell you, you don't. You need just to say what you want. And if what you want is to do better, you are in the right place. So now let's talk about how to get off the struggle bus. Because if you're on the struggle bus, and I was on the struggle bus for a long time, it's not a fun place to be. Because you feel like you make progress, you stall out, you drop, or slide back, as people will call it, or backslide. And that just feels like, are you really making the progress you want? So where is the struggle? I asked you earlier, where do you struggle, right? Everybody's going to struggle a little differently in how that presents for them. So where is the struggle? I'll tell you where. This is where the struggle is, my friend. It is in our mind. It is psychological, right? It is in our mind. Our mind is what creates the relationship you currently have with alcohol. Your mind creates that relationship. It tells you how much you want it, how much you desire it. It creates desire for it. So the struggle is really a mental one, right? And that's why we talk about when it gets so severe, like addiction or severe alcohol use disorder, right? We call it a mental disorder, right? Because we know it's a psychological attachment to this external thing called alcohol. So I'd love for you to just sit with that just 1 second. The struggle is in your mind. Because how many people will tell you the struggle is in the drink, is with the alcohol? You struggle with alcohol. No, your mind is the one that's struggling, right? So we point to this external thing, but really it's an inner thing. And I think shifting to where the focus needs to be is what creates the solution for you, right? A lot of times, how many of you have tried not buying it, buying small quantities so you don't overconsume, right? You're trying to control the alcohol. You're trying to minimize how much you consume, right? Which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but if we're pointing to the alcohol as that's where the struggle is, we're missing it. And so we're going to continue to be on the struggle bus. We're going to continue to kind of finesse alcohol, how much we're around it, how much we allow into it, how many of the friends we hang out with that drink or don't drink, right? Like we're just managing the wrong thing. We need to manage where the struggle is, right? So it's a mental thing, right? It's a mental struggle. So many people will tell themselves, oh, yeah, I just can't have it, right? Which that's not even true, my friend. Do you know as an adult, you can have as much alcohol as you want? There's no parent that you live with that's coming around and saying you shouldn't do that, right? You are fully on your own as an adult. So telling yourself you can't have it, I know for a lot of women that I work with, makes them want it more. So by telling themselves this story, this narrative, guess what? They're putting themselves on the struggle bus even more. They're spending more time on the struggle bus. How about telling yourself that cutting back is going to be hard? Telling yourself that is increasing the mental struggle. So you're staying on the struggle bus even longer by telling yourself this narrative, right? Telling yourself that drinking less is boring, or my friends won't like me, or people won't understand me, or I'll be misperceived, right? This is all increasing the struggle you have. This is increasing the struggle with alcohol, which is why drinking less is more difficult. So focusing also on how you haven't been able to do it before. Nothing's worked in the past. I tried doing sober Januaries and sober Octobers and they didn't work, right? And so we look at our failures and we think, oh my gosh, nothing's going to work. And then that just, again, raises the mental struggle. We are increasing, maybe we're not even conscious of it, but we're increasing our mental struggle. And what I want to offer you tonight is to decrease and minimize or even get rid of the mental struggle. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? Why would we make things harder for ourselves? We don't have to. We can make them easier for ourselves. So when you think of like, it's hard, I'll never do it, I've been at it for so long, like I've been telling myself in the past, like, oh, how much longer is it going to take to get off this drinking thing that I keep doing? How does that make you feel? Yeah, when you mentally struggle, it makes you feel like poop, right? Makes us feel like crap, right? So you have that feel like crap syndrome. And what do you do when you feel like crap? Yeah, you just kind of want to not feel like crap. So what helps your brain numb? Yeah, alcohol. Okay, right? So now you even make it more difficult on yourself to do the thing that you want to do, which is drink less. So I really want to take away this mental struggle for you. So it just becomes easy to drink less. So notice when you're in that mental struggle, the cause of it is that you have psychological inflexibility. So this is a term used in psychology where your mind becomes caged, right? You can't see anything any other way. You're just locked into, I need alcohol, I need it now, and it's the only thing that's going to make my life better, or whatever narrative you have going on. My friends won't accept me if I drink less. My friends won't like me if I drink less. I'm afraid of the judgment of drinking less, right? Some of the struggles that you've shared. I don't know what to do with my anxiety when I drink less. So when you get these mental blocks, I like to call them, because that's just easier to say than psychological inflexibility, it happens that you become habituated with those thoughts and they feel so true. And the more you begin to believe them and the longer you believe them. So they just feel like facts when they are not facts. It's just that your brain gets stuck with these thoughts, that it cages itself, right? It just gets locked into this one way of thinking about alcohol. And then you're not able to change your relationship with it. So this is a pattern for disaster, my friends. It is. And so I'm showing you where the struggle is first, and then we'll talk about how to get out of it. So when I first started working with Lisa, she said, I've been harboring the fear that I was an alcoholic when I asked Sherry for help in cutting back. And she was so fearful. She was convinced she was an alcoholic. And just think of that story. That story was holding her back from trying anything to drink less, right? Like even just decreasing your alcohol intake by 5%, 10% in the beginning is progress. You're getting somewhere, right? And so she didn't think I could help her, and she felt like she'd given alcohol too much power in her life. And she did. And I showed her how she was doing that. So and the reason I showed her, so she can learn on how to stop giving power to the alcohol, and she could give it to herself instead. And so when her program started working, no one was more surprised than I was. Her observations and questions had such a positive ripple effect in every area of my life. So I know many people, when they get on webinars like this or master classes like this, there's always that lingering discussion in the brain is like, am I an alcoholic? I know I have problems with maintaining it or controlling it. But really, that question, I'm not saying it's not significant. It's just making you not as powerful as you can be, as to saying, what can I do so that this isn't a problem in my life anymore? And one stat I love to educate people on, because this is something that I stumbled upon and I felt like, wow, this really freed me from some of the shame and embarrassment I had about my drinking and overconsumption, because I'm a healthcare practitioner. We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to know better. Like somehow we're exempt, right? So 90% of people who drink excessively would not be expected to meet the diagnostic criteria for severe alcohol use disorder. So I'm like, wow, there's 90% of us walking this earth that overdrink, but aren't considered severe alcohol use disorder, which was synonymous with alcoholic, right? That's the new terminology they use now. So it's just a societal thing. We think this is the way you're supposed to be in life, right? We just are an alcohol obsessed society and culture. So what is the solution? So if we know what the problem is and the struggle, the main struggle, then we can look at how to solve for it. So instead of being psychologically inflexible, you just do the opposite. You uncage your brain, right? You get rid of those mental blocks, right? You free yourself mentally to be and step into the person you want to be, to step into the relationship you want with alcohol. It's a beautiful thing when you allow that. And so this psychological flexibility is what is going to change you and how you see and how you relate to alcohol. And it's going to give you your freedom and your power back. It's a beautiful thing. So when you feel free from this mental struggle, right? These constant narratives you're telling yourself about alcohol, right? When you're free of all of that, just imagine now you come home from work, like I do, come home from work, and I don't want to drink. I used to want a drink every day at 5 o'clock. It used to be called my witching hour. It's like, My body knew it was 5 o'clock. It would start tapping on me, Sherry, sending up cravings, sending up cravings. Hey, you have an urge for drink. Go pour yourself a drink, right? Or you could go out with friends and you can choose not to drink and it's no problem. They don't care. You don't care. It's just not an issue. That's like free of mental struggle, right? I'm just not drinking tonight, friends. Okay. Yeah. When you do have a drink, and when I do have a drink, I can have one and easily stop because I'm satisfied. I'm not craving more. I've changed my relationship with alcohol where I don't want more. It doesn't feel better to have more, which is crazy because my brain couldn't even get that concept down when I was drinking every night. And so also when you're free, your identity starts to shift. And that is a beautiful thing. I used to call myself a drinker, a person who loves wine. I talk about the legs of the wine, the smell of the wine, the taste of the wine, like all of the things. I was such like this wine connoisseur in my own head, right? And now I don't think of myself as a non-drinker, and I don't think of myself as a drinker. I don't have this bucket that I put myself in. So I love that my identity has shifted. And that's because I have psychological flexibility. I'm not stuck in my limited thinking that I was stuck in for so long. So if all that happened to you, how would that make you feel? I want to hear. Put it in the Q&A. I want to hear, how would that make you feel if you could have no problem saying no to alcohol? If you decide to have a drink, you're just like, yeah, I had one and I'm done. Felt so good. You have your off button back. You know exactly what to say to your friends. There's just the mental struggle is gone. What's the word you would use to say how that would make you feel? Free, a dream. Okay. How would it feel though? Well, one word, feeling. Yeah, it would be a dream come true. I know that was a dream I had for so long. I just want to be over there where I felt like, quote, I was a normal drinker. Yeah. Free. Another one. Okay. For me, my word, it just feels powerful. It just means I could show up and be the version of Sherry I want to be. If Sherry wants to show up with her friends and have a drink, she can. If Sherry wants to show up and not have a drink with her friends, she can. If Sherry wants to show up at the end of the evening and have a drink by herself, she can. If she doesn't want to drink, she can. To me, that feels powerful because it feels like I'm making the decision and I have choice again. I didn't feel that way in the past. I felt I was sometimes drinking and there wasn't the pleasure from it because I got so numb. Like I didn't even notice when I got to drink for how it tasted, that the bottle was emptying. Like it was just like, whatever, I'm in a zone, right? That just didn't feel powerful for me. I felt disconnected from myself and who I was and what I wanted. So powerful to me, right, is my word. A lot of you said free, right? You have freedom. You have freedom of choice. You make choices aligned with your personal values. See, that to me was what caused me embarrassment and shame. It's like I wanted to be healthy, but I was doing things that compromised my health or made me more unhealthy. And that wasn't good for my morality or how I felt about myself. I don't even want to say morality, just how I felt about myself, right? There was like self-loathing going on with that. And so when you feel powerful, when you're free, you just make choices that are aligned with your personal values. And knowing what those personal values are is so important. I know what my top 5 personal values are, and I love knowing that, right? It just helps me guide the decisions in my life. So it's like the filter I use for decisions, and it's just so much easier to make decisions when I already know what my guiding principles are. You know, when I feel powerful, I also do what I say I'm going to do. It's not just like I put it on the calendar or I schedule that or I say that and then I don't do it. So when I feel powerful or when you feel free, right, you do what you say you're going to do. You have autonomy. You don't feel like it's taken away from you, or you're doing something against your will, or you're being pressured into doing something. You're healthier. And I will tell you, I have more well-being now than I did a decade ago. Even though I'm older, I feel more grounded. I feel more comfortable in who I am, and I have higher well-being stress management. When I was drinking all the time, I was more anxious. I was more irritable. I had up and down roller coaster emotions, like really like back and forth. It wasn't well-being at all. So when you end the mental struggle, you know what? I say you're on fire for your life, because you're like, yes, I did that. I accomplished that. I'm in a good place, right? And then you can use all that mental energy that you're spinning out with, alcohol, drinking, not drinking, what I should say, what I shouldn't say, where all the struggles are. When you just have that struggle gone, it's like you feel lighter. You're like, wow, that weight I was carrying around with, when am I going to get this drinking thing figured out? It's just gone. I have it figured out. It feels so light, airy, powerful, and that you can use all that extra energy for other activities in your life, right? Pursuits, passions, things you want to get done. And I find that it's just fun and easy to be the woman you want to be, right? If you want to be somewhere and have that relationship with alcohol, make it fun and easy. Making it fun and easy will make it sustainable. If you're still cowarding or shy or not sure of it, right, it's going to be harder. You're going to add to that mental struggle even more. And you're going to add to it, not just with mental struggle, but with the emotional struggle. Yeah. So I love providing a framework to follow, so you can always do this with ease and with joy and have fun on the process. Because drinking less should be fun. It is fun, right? But society will say, oh, you're not drinking tonight, wah, wah. But no, like, yeah, I'm not, I may have a glass, I may drink, but I'm not going to over drink, because I know that is not fun. It's not fun because it doesn't feel good for me, and it doesn't feel good for me the next day. So ending that mental struggle, you're free to just live out your personal values, and you're aligned with them. You get rid of that inner dialogue chatter. You're committed to being healthy and greater well-being. And then you stop self-sabotaging behaviors. So do you ever notice when you overdrink? I did this. I would like snack or eat things or dabble or do things, or sometimes say things I normally wouldn't say. So all those like overeating or other behaviors, you just stop doing those, because you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't serve me anymore. And one thing I do love to recommend for you to end the struggle is radical honesty. Get really honest with yourself about where you want to go, what that relationship is for you. Look, there are people that are going to judge me because I had an issue with alcohol. Now I don't, but people think, oh, that's because you gave it up, right? And I'm like, nope, it's because I moderate. I have some, and then, I just stay in control. And they're like, oh, you can't do that. There's a lot of people that have that black and white thinking around alcohol. It's just not true. I know so many people who struggled with alcohol and now are at a position like myself. We can just take it or leave it. So step into your truth. What do you want for your next step with alcohol, right? Is it to moderate? It could be to not drink at all. That's an option as well. Go there, but be true to you and what you want. And then meet yourself where you're at. That's a huge component, right? Do what you can. You don't have to rip off the Band-Aid all at once if you're not ready. Meet yourself where you're at. And I love working with women and helping them meet themselves where they're at, so they're making progress, so it's sustainable. And then use brain power, not willpower. Willpower will always be finite. You will always be fighting yourself. You will always be backsliding if you rely on willpower. It's just what we see all the time with New Year's resolutions. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Willpower, willpower, willpower. Come February, nobody's at the gym. Nobody's losing the weight anymore, right? They've given up, right? That's because they're relying on willpower. Mental power. Tap into your superpower. It's the greatest computer we have is in our heads. So when you do that, your desire changes for alcohol. And I've seen so many women change their desire for alcohol and just lessen it. Doesn't have to go away. You just lessen it, right? And then they're satisfied. And I love to say I'm elegantly satisfied because it just feels so glorious just to stop and not overdo it, not worried about getting drunk when I don't want to be drunk. And then you practice more self-care rather than self-sabotage. And you learn these skills where you can just manage yourself in any situation. And you are so proud of yourself, you love yourself, and you love your life more. Sometimes it requires some mental cleaning up. So some of those mental things we have to clear up, right? So patterns that held you back, right? The way you acted around alcohol in your 30s is not going to be the same way you can have the relationship in your 50s. Our hormones change, the way we metabolize alcohol changes. And so we just need to clean up anything that's holding you back so that you can have that mental freedom. So I wanted to go back to this slide because I wanted to now, after you've seen this information, and just think about how we tell people to drink less is so wrong. We tell them to have more willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. It's like saying, yeah, just use this battery, but the battery's gonna drain. Willpower is gonna drain. It's not about willpower. Please don't ever think that that's going to work for yourself. And please don't tell and start propagating this even more with others. It's not about willpower at all. That's not what works, not for the long term. It's not about more self-discipline, right? Discipline is always about doing the action, not doing the action. We're not even talking about the action of picking up the glass or pouring the drink. We're getting before that even happens. We're talking about the mental relationship you have with alcohol. That's what has to change. And then when that changes, you have all the discipline. You just carry out the action because you want to do it or you don't want to do it, right? Because you have a healthy relationship that you've defined for you based on your personal values, and you just move into that. It's not about discipline. That's like saying, just say no to alcohol, right? Look at that campaign. How well did that work? It didn't. It caused alcohol and drug use to go up. It backfired completely. If we didn't learn anything, we've got to learn from our mistakes, right? So it's not about more discipline, more work. If you think you have to work harder at something and that it's going to be a struggle, you're only increasing the odds that it's not going to happen. Because who wants to do more work? We're lazy people. We like sitting on the couch and watching TV. We like laziness and less work. You know, it needs to be fun. It needs to be fun and easy, not harder and more work. Fun and easy. You don't need to change your friends. I'll tell you, I didn't change any of my friends. Not based on alcohol. Not at all. You don't need to change your friends. And when you get later in life, do you really want to change those friendships you've had for 20 and 30 years? Like, really? No, I still have the same friends. They drink, right? It's like people who smoke. Do they hang out with smokers, right? Maybe not, right? Or people who overeat, right? Like, I don't judge my friends on their behaviors and they don't judge me on mine. Writing it off for good. There are more than one path to get to Rome. Many roads lead to Rome. If you don't want to write it off, you don't have to. Just find the relationship with alcohol that feels good to you and start walking that path. And then who knows, maybe down the road, I will be interested in giving it up completely. But right now, I'm not. I'm very comfortable with my relationship with alcohol. And then claiming powerlessness. Anytime I think of myself as powerlessness, or you tell people they're powerless, they can't change their diabetes, or they can't change this, or they can't change their ways, gosh, that's going to make you feel like poop. That's not very motivating. That's not very uplifting for people. People want to feel autonomous. People want to have control. So taking that control away, or that opportunity to start growing those skills to develop control, to develop their own power, wow, we are just robbing them of their innate ability to step into and learn new skills, right? That's like saying people don't have a growth mindset. Because the one thing in life you can control, my friends, is yourself. You may not be able to control the other people, but in life, you can control you. And that is a huge, huge, exciting thing. All right. So we have talked about how you can control how you think, which will change your need and your desire for alcohol, which then changes your relationship with alcohol. So we could talk about it as metabolic, mental fitness. We can talk about as being psychologically flexible, right? Some people like the word mental fitness, right? I'm getting fit mentally, right? I'm stepping into my power. I went from drinking 4 to 6 drinks per night to drinking 2 drinks per week, and I don't even miss it. I can't believe it. And this change has, not surprisingly, made a huge difference in my relationship with my 2 children and my husband. I was down on life, and now I've rediscovered my joy. When you get to be who you want to be, when you get to act the way you want to act around food, around alcohol, right? It feels amazing. It feels amazing because you're not caving to the whims of others. You're not just going along because somebody pressured you into it, right? You get to be you, and that feels delightful. And that's what I want for everybody, is that you can get, I believe everybody can have the healthy relationship with alcohol as long as we haven't gone to severe alcohol use disorder. And that's less than 10% of the population. And what I want to tell you is that when you do this work, it's all about saying, yes, I'm in control. Yes, I can make changes. It's not about blame. We can't blame friends. We can't blame family, because if we blame people, what do we know? That gives our power away. And that's where we're going to feel like we're powerless. We're going to feel like crap. And then that's not going to feel good and help us change that mental scenario and that mental story that we have in our head. So when you take back your power, that's when you can transform your life. So another quote from an EpicYOU member, Sherry, I can't tell you enough how impactful your program has been. I've really been able to do something that I've tried to do for years, cut back on my alcohol consumption and be mindful of how it impacts my body. I've come so far and I can't express how happy I am. Thank you. I remember Beth, she has tried AA, she's tried other methods. She did not get any success. What she felt was more shame. She didn't really want to cut it out of her life, but she pretended she wanted. And that's not radical honesty, my friends. When you step into what you want and you work on those skills to get that relationship, that's when you're going to feel empowered. That's when you're going to be able to do it, because that's what you want. It's like going to college because your parents want you to do this degree or this profession. And then you get out and you're bitter, you're angry because you're like, I never wanted to become a doctor, but yet you wanted me to become a doctor, right? And so that's the same thing. You have to tap into what you want and what you define as your relationship you want to have with alcohol. So how would your life be different if you didn't struggle with drinking? I'd love to hear. How would your life be different if you didn't struggle? You know, I save so much time and energy by not thinking about drinking because I'm not consumed mentally by it. I'm not on the struggle bus with it, right? So 5 o'clock comes, it's not even a witching hour anymore. It's not a trigger for me. It used to be an automatic trigger. And my brain just used to say, yep, automatic. That's what we do. We drink at this hour. But since I've learned how to decondition that, 5 o'clock is coming here in San Diego and don't have desire for alcohol. Love that. Yeah, peace. Yeah, you'd feel so happy, right? It just feels so good. Fabulous, powerful. Yeah, I love all this. Yeah, the mental free time. You free up so much of your time. It's like, I remember when I got to this space, it was like, I have so much more time on my hands. I could be so much more productive. Not that you have to use it to be productive, but you just have so much time. And I remember there was a member in EpicYOU, Kristen, she's like, Sherry, you gave me 2 hours of my day back. This is amazing. She's like, I could go to the gym again. I went in the morning, but I can also go in the afternoon. Like, she was just on fire. That's what I mean by powerful. You just feel on fire again. You've got like this piece of yourself that you've missed. It finally comes back and you like connect with that piece that you've been missing. Yeah, healthy, more active, more energy, for sure. For sure. So cutting back on drinking is a wellness strategy. It's a health thing, right? So it certainly makes you feel better, feel more joyful, and healthier and happier. All right. So I hope what you've concluded from this presentation was it's really not about the alcohol. If you are still pointing to the alcohol, trying to control it, trying to minimize it, I'm not saying that's not part of the strategy, but it's missing the bigger picture. Because where does the true struggle and where does the relationship with alcohol all stem from? It stems from your mind. It's about managing your mind and changing that relationship that you maybe used to have with it to a new one, to a different one, to one that you get to define, to one that feels good for your life. There's no finger wagging over here, right? I'm not telling you where to go. You will get more success by defining where you want to go. You will. I've seen this over and over again. And so now I'm going to take a minute and tell you about EpicYOU, because EpicYOU is my program where you learn to become a woman who can take it or leave it with alcohol. Now, inside the program, you will end the struggle with your drinking. Yes, we work on your mind. We do all this mental stuff, right? So you don't have to struggle with it, because when you release the struggle, you're just able to be who you want to be. You're able to create that relationship with alcohol that you want. And by doing this work, right, and by doing this process, you reduce or eliminate desire for alcohol. Some people come through the program and say, I don't even have desire for any alcohol. I'm now ready to give it up completely. And then you end the embarrassment shame cycle, right? Like, I don't want it, then I super want it. And then, oh, I'm so mad at myself. I'm going to penalize myself and say, no, 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 you can't have it. And then you're back to enjoying it. And then you overdo it. And then it's just like this roller coaster ride. And then it feels like a hamster wheel that you just can't get off of, right? It's like, here we go. Here we go. It's like Groundhog Day. 5 o'clock comes, I'm drinking. And I don't want to be drinking, but I do want to be drinking, right? And so that just creates more shame, embarrassment, self-loathing. I've been there. I know what it feels like, and it feels horrible. And so by going through this process, you'll be healthier, and I guarantee you, you will be more joyful. There is one thing of all the ladies in the program, and a lot of them stay in EpicYOU for a long time because they say, I feel so good. I feel so good being here. I feel so good that I'm being healthy, and I'm getting healthier, and I'm getting healthier. And I just want to stay because it feels so good. And so I call that feeling epic, right? And that just means feeling good being you. Without the coaching I received and the tools I learned inside EpicYOU, I would never have been able to accomplish my goal of becoming in control of my drinking or all the other magnificent life-changing personal growth that I've had in my life either. So just some of the testimonials from women who have been in the program. And so when you join EpicYOU, you get access to everything, and there is quite a bit, but you get the framework to follow so that you can change your relationship with alcohol, so that you can create a new one. You get unlimited coaching and support. I'm always in there. We have a Slack community. We are not on Facebook for the people that are boycotting Facebook or don't want to be on Facebook. We have a different community called Slack, which is so wonderful. We're all loving, we're all supporting, no finger wagging, no judgment, and you get all your questions answered. There's accountability in there if you want it. Some people love accountability. Some people come for the accountability. Some people don't want the accountability. They just want to do this work more privately and on their own, and that's fine too. We do live coaching calls every month. There are 4 of them. You can bring your questions, you can bring your challenges, you can bring your struggles, you can bring your wins. We just want to help you keep getting progress. And I want to help keeping you getting progress on building that relationship with alcohol that you want. This is a monthly membership, so you can cancel at any time, right? You could try it out for a month, see if it's working, and it'll be awesome. You'll love it. And so there is a monthly membership, just so you know. Another testimonials, I feel like a new person. The weight of drinking every night has been lifted and I feel restored. My soul feels lighter and I drop some weight. Yes, because you know what alcohol does? It's got sugar in it. It causes inflammation. So when you do drink less, a lot of people find that they do lose weight. I started this program with some hesitancy and uncertainty, and it's been truly a godsend. I can have one drink and be done. Isn't that delightful? I love that. So you're probably wondering, what is the investment? And the investment is only $249 a month. And you get access to everything. There are workbooks in there, videos, there's my support. Like I mentioned, the Slack community, the accountability, the live calls, all of this for $249 a month. And so if you are ready to change your relationship with alcohol, I want to invite you into EpicYOU. And where do you sign up? You sign up at www.epicyou.com/EpicYOU is the page to sign up, where you can change your relationship with drinking to one that you want, one that fulfills you in this phase of your life. And I'd love to help you inside.